Welcome to the Student Success Seminar, Oral Presentations. We have several objectives in this presentation today. It is important to not feel pigeonholed to the techniques and ideas presented. These are not the be-all end-all of presentation techniques. These are not rules, merely guidelines. Our hope is that you pick up a few of these and that you try them out in your next oral presentation. With practice, incorporate more of these guidelines. Our goal is to assist you in becoming more comfortable with these presentations and to improve your delivery to your audience. Just like writing a paper, you will want to prepare your content for your presentation. This is a step that many students are used to. We're going to focus today more on the actual delivery and preparation of your presentation. Let's briefly review the structure. First off, you want to create an opening that will catch your audience's attention. We will discuss this a little bit more. Next, you want to ask, what did I research and what was my goal in the research? This is the so what component. You want to tell the audience what you found and provide some evidence and statistics to back it up. Finally, in your conclusion, you want to tie things together by summarizing your main points and maybe throwing out a statistic or some more interesting evidence. Finally, you should anticipate some questions, so write down some that may come up from your audience. Remember, most people try to cram too much information into a presentation. It's better to keep it short, simple, and sweet. Make 2 or 3 major points at most that the audience will walk away and remember. If you have trouble shortening things, try to follow the 15-word summary rule. Can you summarize your thesis or idea in 15 words? If not, rewrite it and try again. You've probably sat in a lecture where it feels like one big information dump with no structure to it. Avoid doing this with your audience. In the first minute or so, you want to make sure that your audience knows exactly where you're taking them. Basically, you're going to lead them by the hand during your presentation. Are you going to tell a story now, or are you going to lead into your topic? What are you going to present to them? Are you summarizing your findings and showing some evidence? Or are you giving them an overview or a story? Clearly state what your goals are in the presentation. Prepare your first slide by thinking like you would in a lecture. What's the goal of this lecture? If you wanted your audience to learn a few things from this presentation, what would they be? Keep in mind that you want to limit your objectives to just a few points. Again, when you're approaching the end of the presentation, tell your audience that you're approaching the end of your presentation. Think about how you're going to prepare your slides. You want them to follow simple and clean themes. Take a look at the overall colors and fonts that you are using. Does it look like a computer game from the early 1980s? Or does it look sharp, crisp, and clear? Always be careful with dark or pattern backgrounds. They can crowd the slide out or look messy. There are a variety of templates available on PowerPoint or on the web for download. Using a clear theme and format helps to make your presentation more professional. You can also add in a bit of animation to add some interest to a slide. Finally, make sure you present your information in bite-sized pieces. Each slide should be limited to 1 or 2 points to keep your audience from staring at the same screen for more than a minute. Next, you want to focus on clean imagery and less words. 17.432. The most effective public speakers are the ones who hold a person's attention. The audience chooses to listen to the speaker instead of reading the slides. It is difficult not to read the slides. When we first arrived on this slide, I said a 5-digit number. Do you remember that number? Possibly not, because you are busy reading the information that's on this slide. Now that I've caught you reading this slide, I want you to pause and listen. One of the best techniques to ensure your audience is paying attention to you is to use minimal wording on your slides. Stay away from words and try to stick to pictures. Without words to read, your audience will have to pay attention to you instead. Make sure that you cite your sources within the slideshow. People want to know where you got your information from, and you always need to give credit to others for their own hard work and research. Make sure to keep track of the materials you're using and enter it into the charts or graphs. You may also include a slide at the end which lists your sources. If you are unsure how to cite a source, visit the Taylor Family Digital Library Help Desk, a Student Success Centre writing tutor, or refer to your course syllabus. On a course syllabus, a professor will indicate their expectations for citations. There are many different styles, and each discipline prefers a different style. You may be up at the front of the room, feeling incredibly nervous. The audience is watching you, waiting for those first brilliant words. Or everyone's chatting with each other. The trick is to open up your presentation with an action that captures their attention. Here are some great ways to do so. First, you could ask a question that gets the audience involved. Make them think about the question and what their answer would be, perhaps even solicit some answers from the audience. Secondly, you can state an impressive fact or cite a quotation. Third, you can tell a story that's connected with the theme of your presentation. People enjoy subject material when it has meaning or relevance to their own lives. Finally, you can employ the technique of getting away from your laptop or projector and go out into the audience or walk around the stage. This also helps to prevent nervous habits, such as playing with a pen, looking down at the paper, or playing with your clothes. You are helping your audience to focus on the task at hand. By employing some of these techniques, you're also establishing an aura of easy confidence for yourself and a cheerful mood in the room. It is important to identify the words that you tend to use as pads during uncomfortable gaps or when your brain is trying to take a moment to catch up with the material. These words are called filler words. Here are some of the most common. Fillers are usually subconsciously sprinkled throughout your dialogue, so you will need someone to watch you do a practice presentation, or you will have to grin and bear it and record yourself speaking using your smartphone or the technology in the presentation practice rooms. Most laptops also have a recorder built into them. Did you know that most people try to cram too much information into a presentation? If you are inserting filler words, you will need to slow down the pace of your presentation and slow down your speaking. This will help your brain so that it is not playing catch up with your mouth. If you watch some of the best TEDx videos, you will notice that the speakers make 2 or 3 major points and take moments to pause and gaze out at the audience or take a deep breath in. A moment of quiet is okay. What feels like an hour in your head is really a blink of the eye of the audience. Stop, take 1 breath in and 1 breath out, and continue. Try this out in your practice presentation. We also suggest that you know your presentation inside and out. Your brain needs to create filler words when it is trying to pull information from your memory. The quicker it can pull information from your memory, the more prepared you are. Do not present from a script. Present from an outline which you have taken the time to study and prepare. Treat it just as if you were studying for an exam. Create an outline and sift out the information you need. You want to give the audience only a few takeaways, the most important facts, and maybe a sprinkling of evidence. I'm going to read you a sentence from a script, and then I'm going to read you a sentence, which is based on a loose outline of what I wanted to say. It is important to avoid a script because people can tell the difference. Most people can tell if you were talking naturally or reading from a script. Can you tell the difference between these 2 sentences? Which one was I reading from a sheet of paper? The worst thing you can do is ramble on in a presentation. Get up, say what you have to, and sit down. Let a visual outline help you with that, and don't worry if your presentation ends early. It's better than a long presentation that rambles. You can refer to the outline quickly and easily to jog your memory if you need to. This sheet of paper is exactly what you don't want to happen when you're doing a presentation. But many people do this. You don't want to create a big page of notes, or even a pile of cue cards with writing all over them. These set you up for a bad presentation experience. When you have lots of writing on a page, it's simply too much to read, and when you're standing up and presenting, it's really difficult to read the words on these pages. You will wind up reading off the paper, losing your spot when you look up, and then you will get flustered when you try and find your place on the page again. Why? Because it feels like an hour went by while you're trying to relocate your information. Cue cards present problems as well. Nerves can cause people to shuffle their cards around or act awkward when they are trying to place their cue cards somewhere once they're done with them. Take an outline with you with a few points on it and refer to that. What is one important thing this presenter is missing? She's not making eye contact with the audience. If making direct eye contact with the audience makes you nervous, make it a point to locate 3 objects in the room that you can shift your eyes to throughout the presentation. Nobody will know that you're not looking at them. Eye contact involves the audience, and it leads people to trust you to present the information to them. Studies have shown that when people are lying, they tend to look up and down. Looking people in the eye demonstrates sincerity, knowledge, and confidence. You can see the difference in the second picture here. Even if you're not feeling that confident, fool the audience and they won't know otherwise. True, technology is supposed to make our lives easier, but always assume that technology might not cooperate with you. Always make sure that you bring handouts for everyone as a backup in case things don't go the way they're supposed to. Make sure you go to the presentation room early. If it is not available before your presentation, visit the room earlier in the day to test run the equipment. You don't want to be fumbling with PowerPoint or trying to hook up a projector when people are watching you and waiting for you to speak. Come early, scope out the room, run through your slideshow, and make sure there won't be any glitches. To avoid compatibility issues, try to bring your own laptop. Many students have reported difficulties when operating between Mac and Windows systems, or even between different versions of the same program. Also try to find out which version of PowerPoint the computers on campus use. Save your presentation to the format for the version that you are going to be using to avoid issues with your slides. If you can, write down a contact for assistance with the equipment, or even better, recruit a classmate or an assistant to help you. And don't rely on an internet connection. Always bring a backup such as a USB key. Many of the world's best presenters freely admit to being nervous and having stage fright. Mark Twain said it best, "There are 2 types of speakers, those who are nervous and those that are liars." Everyone, even experienced speakers, have some level of anxiety when speaking in front of a group of people. This is completely normal. The best way to deal with this anxiety is to first acknowledge that this fear is perfectly normal and you are not alone. In fact, those stress levels push you to put together a great presentation and ensure that it is seamless. Proper preparation and rehearsal can help to reduce your anxiety by about 75%. Proper breathing techniques can further reduce this fear by another 15%. Your mental state accounts for the remaining 10%. We have highlighted here a few suggestions that you can use to overcome your speaking anxiety. Jot down any of these suggestions that appeal to you. Questions may come up during or after your presentation, and this can be nerve-wracking. Questions that occur during your presentation can affect your focus and the flow of the presentation, especially if they fluster you. Stay in control of the presentation by stating that you will take questions afterwards. Many people's questions are answered in a few slides anyways. If you don't have the answer to a question, tell the audience that you are unable to answer the question based on the scope of your research and knowledge, but that you can find more information after the presentation if they desire. According to the Book of Lists, the fear of speaking in public is the number 1 fear. The fear of dying is number 7. Over 41% of people have some fear or anxiety dealing with speaking in front of groups. People who have this fear can experience all kinds of symptoms: sweaty palms, accelerated heart rate, memory loss, and even difficulty in breathing. The reason that teachers and public speakers seem to be so comfortable presenting is that they have practice, lots of practice. University is one of the best environments in which you can get practice and improve your skills, so dive in. By the time you graduate, you'll be way ahead of that 41% of people out in the workforce who are anxious about public speaking. It is one of the single greatest tools that you can have at graduation time that will both distinguish you in interviews and on the job. Plus, there's always going to be some point in your life where you're going to have to get up and make a speech, whether it's at a special event or someone's wedding. Thank you for joining us in the oral presentation seminar. You may now proceed to Blackboard to complete your activity. If you are completing the Skills for Success certificate through the Student Success Centre, congratulations, you're well on your way.